Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being here. This course is called Mastering CV and Resume Writing, a complete guide for modern job seekers. And I want to be direct with you from the very first slide. This is not a course about formatting documents. It is a course about understanding a system and then building materials that work inside that system. Most people approach job applications the same way. They open a blank document, type out what they have done, send it to as many employers as possible, and wonder why they are not getting responses. The document is not always the problem. The approach is. By the end of this course, you will have six things: a clear understanding of how hiring decisions are actually made, the ability to choose the right document for the right situation, a complete master document you can tailor from, a proven formula for writing content that gets attention, a checklist for passing automated screening systems, and a complete application package ready to submit. This course is built for job seekers in East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Somalia, and the wider region, but the principles apply globally. Whether you're targeting a UN agency in Nairobi, a bank in Kampala, a tech firm in Addis Ababa, or a remote role based in London, the same logic applies. We have six modules. Let me walk you through what we will cover. Here's the full picture of what we will cover together. But before we start, open the course workbook that accompanies this course. On the first page, write down the names of the three employers you most want to work for. You will return to this list throughout the course. Write down your current biggest question about job applications. We will answer it somewhere in these six modules. Module 1 is about understanding how hiring actually works. Not how we imagine it works, but what really happens from the moment you click apply to the moment someone calls you. Most job seekers have never thought carefully about this, and it changes how you approach everything else. Module 2 clears up one of the most common points of confusion in East Africa: the difference between a CV, a resume, and a cover letter. These are three distinct documents with three distinct purposes. Using the wrong one for the wrong context is a mistake that costs people opportunities every day. Module 3 is where we actually start building. You will construct what I call a master document, a comprehensive source file that you will never submit directly, but that you will draw from for every application you make from this point forward. Module 4 is about turning that master document into targeted, tailored applications. We cover sector-specific norms and the strategy for handling difficult career situations. Module 5 covers ATS, applicant tracking systems, the automated software that screens your document before any human reads it. You will leave this module knowing exactly how to pass that screen. And Module 6 brings everything together into a complete application package: cover letter, LinkedIn, references, and the mechanics of submission. Each module builds on the one before it. Work through them in order. Module 1: How hiring actually works. I want you to consider something before we go any further. Think about the last job application you submitted. Did you spend more time thinking about the employer's problem or more time thinking about your own history? If your answer is your own history, you are approaching this the wrong way around. And so does the majority of job seekers. This module reorients your thinking. We are going to look at two things that most candidates never examine: the structure of the job market itself and the mechanics of how applications are actually screened. Once you understand these, you will never think about job applications the same way again. Everything in the rest of this course is built on this foundation. Let us start with the job market. Before we continue to the next slide, in your workbook, answer this question honestly. When you last applied for a job, what did you think more about? The employer's needs or your own qualifications? Write one sentence. There is no wrong answer. This is your baseline. The job market has two layers, and most people only engage with one of them. The visible market is what most of us think of when we think about job searching. The advertised vacancy on Brighter Monday, on Fuzu, on Somali Jobs, on Relief Web, on Shortlist, on LinkedIn, on the organization's website. You see the post, you apply, you wait. This is where the vast majority of applicants compete. And because everyone can see the same posts, the competition is intense. The hidden market is different. It consists of roles filled through referrals, internal promotions, direct professional outreach, and networks, often before the position is ever advertised. Research consistently shows that between 60 and 80% of professional positions are filled this way. Not just in London or New York, in Nairobi, in Kampala, in Dar es Salaam. The percentages are similar. Now, why does this matter for a course about CV and resumes? Because your document serves both markets. In the visible market, it gets you through the screening process. In the hidden market, it supports a referral. Someone recommends you to a hiring manager. The hiring manager looks at your document and makes a judgment. If your document is weak, the referral dies there. If your document is strong, the referral becomes an interview. The goal of this course is to give you a document strong enough to survive both markets. Before you continue, turn to section 1.1 of the course notes, the hidden reality of the job market. Read the full section now. It contains specific examples from the Nairobi, Kampala, and Dar es Salaam job markets. When you return, identify one professional in your current network who works at an organization you want to join. Write their name in your workbook. This is the beginning of your hidden market strategy. When you submit an application to most professional employers, an international NGO, a bank, a multinational, any organization using an online portal, your application passes through 3 stages before anyone makes a decision about you. Stage 1 is the ATS filter. A TS stands for Applicant Tracking System. It is software. It scans your document for keywords, checks whether your formatting is readable, and scores your application against the job requirements. Many applications, sometimes the majority, are eliminated at this stage. Not by a person, by a machine, without anyone reading a single word of what you wrote. Stage 2 is the recruiter screen. The applications that survive stage 1 are now reviewed by a human, a recruiter or HR officer. But do not imagine this as a careful reading. Research from eye tracking studies shows that a recruiter spends an average of 6 to 10 seconds on the initial pass of a document. They are not reading, they are scanning for signals. Your most recent title, your most recent employer, how long you were there, whether anything in the layout makes them want to slow down. Stage 3 is the hiring manager. The shortlist, typically 5 to 10 candidates, reaches the person who will actually make the hire. They read more carefully, they compare. They are asking, who is the best answer to my problem? Your document must be built to survive all 3 of these stages. Most documents are not. This course is about making sure yours is. We will now move to Module 2. Just before you continue, read Section 1.2, How Recruiters Actually Screen Applications, and Section 1.3, What Employers Are Actually Looking For. Pay close attention to the table in section 1.3, the 4 questions every employer wants answered. In your workbook, write down which of those 4 questions your current CV answers well and which it does not answer at all. This self-assessment will guide your work in modules 3 and 4. When you are ready, continue to module 2. Module 2. Know what you are building and why. I want to address something directly. In everyday language in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and across East Africa, the word CV is used to mean any document you send to an employer when you want a job. People say, "Send me your CV," and they might mean anything from a 1-page summary to a 10-page professional history. In professional practice, however, particularly when dealing with international organizations, large private sector employers, and any employer with a structured hiring process, the distinction between a CV, a resume, and a cover letter is real, and it matters. Submitting a 1-page resume to a UN agency that expects a detailed CV tells the recruiter you do not understand the professional norms of their sector. Submitting a 6-page CV to a commercial bank that wants a targeted 2-page resume tells them the same thing. This module gives you the clarity to never make that mistake. Let us define each document precisely. Let us look at each document in turn. The curriculum vitae is a complete professional record. It does not try to be concise. Its purpose is completeness. Everything goes in: your full work history, all your academic qualifications, publications, research, certifications, professional memberships, languages, awards. For senior professionals, a curriculum vitae can run 4, 6, even 10 pages. Length is not a flaw in a curriculum vitae. Missing information is: use a curriculum vitae for academic positions, research roles, international organizations like the UN and its agencies, government and public sector roles, medical and legal professions, and senior executive applications. The resume is a different document with a different purpose. It is not a shortened curriculum vitae. It is a targeted argument. Every element of a resume, format, length, content, language, is chosen to serve a single goal: getting you an interview for one specific role at one specific organization. A resume that is not tailored is not a resume. It is a curriculum vitae trying to be something it is not. 1 to 2 pages, always tailored. Private sector, career changes, commercial roles. The cover letter is your voice. It is the only place in your entire application where you speak directly, personally, and specifically to one employer. Not a summary of your curriculum vitae. A direct communication about why this role at this organization with your particular background makes sense. The decision rule at the bottom of this slide is your practical guide. When you are not sure which document to produce, start there. We will go deeper on each in the modules that follow. Read sections 2.1, the curriculum vitae, 2.2, the resume, and 2.4, side-by-side comparison, now. Then complete the following in your workbook. List the 3 employers from your opening exercise. For each employer, decide: do they need a curriculum vitae, a resume, or both? Use the decision framework in section 2.4 to guide your answer. Also read section 2.5 on international and regional variations, particularly the Gulf market section if any of your target employers are based in the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, or Oman. Return here when done. Module 3. Build your master document. This is the module where the work begins. And I want to introduce a concept that will change the way you approach every job application you make from this point forward. The master document. Here is the problem that most job seekers have. Every time they want to apply for a role, they open their old curriculum vitae, stare at it, try to remember what they did 3 years ago, scramble to update it, run out of time, and send something they are not proud of. They start from scratch every time, and it costs them. The master document solves that problem. It is a comprehensive, fully written record of everything relevant about your professional life. Every role, every achievement, every qualification, every skill. It is not a document you submit to anyone. It is your source file. When you are ready to apply for a specific role, you extract the most relevant material from your master document and build a tailored application from it. Building your master document will take 2 to 3 hours of focused work. You will do it once. After that, every application becomes an editing exercise, not a writing exercise. The quality goes up, the time required goes down. Let us start with the content that matters most. Read section 3.1, the architecture of a professional document, before the next slide. Specifically, study the table of non-negotiable sections and the table of conditional sections. In your workbook, mark which conditional sections apply to you. Certifications, publications, languages, volunteer work, professional memberships, awards. This will determine the full scope of your master document. This slide contains the most important single skill in this entire course. Read the formula at the top. Action verb plus what you did plus result or scale. Every bullet point in your work experience section must follow this formula, every single one. If a bullet point does not contain all 3 elements, it is not finished. Now look at the comparison table. Read the left column. The duty statements. These are what most people write. Responsible for managing a team of field officers. Manage the organization's social media accounts. Assisted in the preparation of financial reports. What do all of these have in common? They tell the employer what you were paid to do. They do not tell the employer what you actually did, how well you did it, or what changed because of your work. Every candidate who held that job could write the same bullet point. Now read the right column. Led 12 field offices across 3 districts, improving data collection accuracy by 40% through redesigned reporting protocols. Grew social media following from 2,000 to 14,000 in 18 months, increasing engagement by 220%. Prepared monthly and quarterly reports for a $4.2 million portfolio, achieving 100% on-time submission to 3 donors over 2 years. Notice what these do. They open with a strong action verb. They include scale or context, team size, budget size, time frame, and they state an outcome or result. They tell the story of impact, not just activity. When you build your master document, this formula applies to every bullet point you write. If you cannot identify the result, ask yourself, what was better after I did this work than before? Start there. This direction requires real work before you continue. Open your workbook to the Work Experience section. Pick your 3 most recent roles. For each role, write 3 bullet points using the achievement formula. Action verb plus what you did plus result or scale. Use the action verbs table in section 3.4 of your course notes to find verbs that match your category of work. Leadership, analysis, finance, program work, technical, communication. Do not continue to the next slide until you have 9 bullet points written. 3 for each of your 3 most recent roles. This exercise is the foundation of your entire master document. Do not skip it. Before we talk about what to write, we need to talk about how to organize it. There are 3 resume formats. Choosing the wrong one for your situation can undermine strong content. The chronological format, or more precisely, reverse chronological, is the most widely used format globally and the default choice for most job seekers. Your work experience runs from most recent to oldest. Each role is described with titles, dates, employer, and achievement bullets. If your most recent role is your strongest credential, this format leads with your best material. When in doubt, use this format. It is expected by international organizations, multinationals, and most serious private sector employers in East Africa. The functional format leads with skills and competencies rather than work history. Employment appears briefly at the bottom. I will be honest with you about this format. Use it with extreme caution. Recruiters, particularly at international organizations in East Africa, recognize the functional format as a document that is hiding something. Significant employment gaps, weak experience, frequent job changes. It's not that the format is inherently dishonest. It is that it has been used so often to obscure problems that experienced recruiters are immediately suspicious when they see it. The hybrid format opens with a competencies summary and then follows with a full reverse chronological history. It is the best choice for experienced professionals making a significant career transition or senior candidates who want to signal leadership capability before their job list. But it only works if your competencies section is genuinely strong. An empty or generic competencies section at the top of a resume is worse than nothing. Choose your format deliberately. Let us move to Module 4, but before you move to Module 4, start your master document. Now read Section 3.2, Choosing Your Format, in your course notes for the full guidance on each format type. Then make your format decision, chronological, functional, or hybrid. Write your choice and your reason in your workbook. Now read Section 3.5, Building Your Master Document. This section contains the master document checklist. Set aside 2 to 3 hours of uninterrupted time and begin building your master document using the checklist as your guide. Do not proceed to Module 4 until your master document is at least a working draft. Module 4 depends on it. You cannot tailor a document that does not yet exist. Module 4. Write content that gets you interviews. You now have a master document. It is comprehensive, well-structured, and full of strong achievement statements. That document as it stands will not get you an interview. What gets you interviews is a version of that document that has been surgically tailored to a specific role, a specific employer, and a specific moment in that employer's hiring cycle. I want to say something plainly. The single biggest reason qualified candidates do not get shortlisted is that they submit generic documents, not because they lack qualifications, not because they are poor writers, because they send the same document or a slightly reworded version of the same document to every employer, and employers can tell. In this module, we are going to cover 3 things. First, the 4-step process for tailoring any document to any role. Second, the sector-specific norms you need to understand depending on where you are applying. Third, the strategies for handling the career challenges that most job seekers try to hide and should not. Let us start with tailoring. The 4-step tailoring process. Let me walk you through each step. Step 1. Deconstruct the job description. Before you change a single word of your document, spend 20 minutes dissecting the job posting. You are looking for 4 things. Required qualifications. These are minimum thresholds. Confirm them explicitly. Preferred qualifications. Signals about the ideal candidate. Repeated language. Any phrase that appears more than once is telling you it matters. Use that language. And the core problem. What problem is this employer trying to solve? Identify it. Step 2. Rewrite your professional summary. Every application gets a new summary, not a different template with the employer's name inserted. A genuinely rewritten opening paragraph that positions you as the solution to the specific problem you identified in Step 1. This is the most important real estate on your document. The recruiter reads it first. It must speak directly to this employer. Step 3. Reorder and rewrite your bullet points. Within each role, move the most relevant bullets to the top. Remove bullets that are genuinely irrelevant to this application. And where your language does not match the job description's terminology, rewrite it. If the posting uses the phrase stakeholder engagement and your bullet says worked with various partners, change it. You did stakeholder engagement. Say so. Step 4. Adjust your skills section. If a required tool, certification, or methodology is listed in the posting and you have it, make sure it appears clearly in your skills section. Do not assume the recruiter will find it buried in a role from 4 years ago. Once your master document is complete, a properly tailored application should take you 45 to 60 minutes. Steps 1 and 2 are where most people underinvest. Do not skip them. Pause the video and complete this exercise before continuing. Find a real job description for a role you are currently targeting or genuinely interested in. Use Brighter Monday, Fuzu, Shortlist, LinkedIn, or a specific organization's careers page. Read section 4.1 of your course notes. The tailoring process. Study the call-out box. Real example, deconstructing a job posting. Now apply the 4 steps to your chosen job description. Identify required qualifications, preferred qualifications, repeated language, and the core problem. Write your findings in your workbook, then rewrite your professional summary for this specific role using what you found. This is not a theoretical exercise. This is your first tailored application in progress. Press play when you have completed steps 1 and 2. Let us talk about the career challenges that most candidates try to hide, and why hiding them is usually the wrong strategy. Employment gaps. If you have a period of 6 months or more between paid roles, do not try to obscure it by using only years in your dates instead of months. Recruiters know this technique. They have seen it thousands of times. Using only years where months are expected is not subtle. It is transparent. Address the gap directly based on what you were actually doing. If you studied, list it as a qualification. If you freelanced, list the consulting work as a role. If you cared for a family member, one honest sentence in your cover letter is more than sufficient. Career transitions. If you are changing fields, reframe your bullet points in the target industry's language because the skills almost certainly transfer. But the terminology needs to match. A logistics professional moving into project management has been managing projects for years. The bullet points just need to say so. Limited experience. Recent graduates. Every legitimate activity counts. Academic projects, internships, student leadership, part-time work, volunteer roles. A document that is full of relevant content, even if none of it was senior paid employment, is far better than a half-empty template. Multiple short-term roles. If the roles were contract or project-based, say so clearly. 6-month USAID project contract,
looks completely different from a role that simply ended after 6 months with no explanation. The absence of context is what creates concern, not the tenure itself. The principle underlying all of this: address challenges directly and confidently. Employers are not expecting perfection. They are assessing whether you are honest, self-aware, and still the best available answer to their problem. A confident, brief explanation of a career challenge is far more reassuring than a document that is clearly trying to hide something. Read Section 4.3. Addressing career challenges in full. The table in this section covers employment gaps, career transitions, limited experience, multiple short-term roles, and returning to work. Identify which of these situations apply to you. Be honest. For each situation that applies, write the one-sentence framing statement you will use. Write it in the first person, in your own voice, as if you were saying it to a hiring manager. Read it out loud. If it sounds defensive, rewrite it. The goal is confident and direct, not apologetic. Also read Section 4.2 for sector-specific guidance. If you are targeting NGO or international organization roles, read that subsection carefully. The language norms are specific and important.
Module 5. Beat the System. ATS Optimization. This module addresses something that most job seekers in East Africa have never been taught, and that is costing qualified professionals real opportunities every day. Applicant tracking systems, ATS, are software platforms that employers use to receive, store, filter, and manage job applications. If you are applying to any organization that receives more than 20 or 30 applications per role, any UN agency, any international NGO, any large commercial employer, any organization using an online application portal, there is a very high probability that an ATS is involved in the initial screening of your document. And here is the critical point. Your document must be readable by that software before any human being ever sees it. If the ATS cannot parse your document correctly because of your formatting choices, your file type, where you placed your contact information, or how you structured your sections, your application may be rejected automatically. Not because you were unqualified, because the machine could not read your document properly. This module is about removing that obstacle. Let us look at what you need to do and what you need to stop doing. Read Section 5.2, ATS Systems in the East African Context before continuing. For each of your 3 target employers, identify which application portal they use. Inspira, UN, Taleo, Workday, Fuzu, Brighter Monday, Shortlist, or another platform. Write this in your workbook next to each employer name. This tells you exactly which ATS you are optimizing for. The formatting rules apply to all of them, but some platforms have additional specific requirements covered in Section 5.2. Let us go through both columns. On the left, what you should do. Use standard section headings, work experience, education, skills, professional summary. ATS parsers are trained to recognize these labels. If you use a clever alternative, my journey, career story, where I have been, the parser will not recognize the section and may skip the content entirely. Use a single column layout. A 2-column resume might look elegant to a human reader. To an ATS parser reading left to right in a linear sequence, the content in your left and right columns gets merged together into nonsense. Keep your name and contact details in the main document body, not in the header of the Word document. Many ATS parsers do not read document headers. If your name and phone number are stored in the header, the system may have no record of your contact details. Use standard fonts, Arial, Calibri, Times New Roman, and submit as PDF or Word. Follow the instructions in the posting. If no format is specified, PDF is generally the safer choice because it preserves your formatting across all devices. On the right, what to avoid. Tables used for page layout. Text boxes, graphics and icons stored as images. 2-column layouts. These elements are visually appealing but structurally hostile to parsers, and the single most useful practical check you can do before submitting any application. Copy the entire text of your document and paste it into Notepad. Plain text, no formatting. What you see is approximately what the ATS parser sees. If your name is at the top, your sections are in the right order, your dates are intact, and your bullet points are readable, you are in good shape. If the content is scrambled, content is missing, or the order is wrong, you have a formatting problem that needs to be fixed before you submit. Do this check before every submission. It takes 30 seconds. It can save your application. Stop here for a while. Run the plain text test on your current CV or master document draft right now. Open your document. Select all text. Copy it. Open Notepad, Windows, or TextEdit in plain text mode, Mac. Paste. Check. Is your name at the top? Are your section headings readable? Is your work history in order? Are your bullet points intact? If anything is scrambled or missing, you have a formatting problem. Read section 5.4 of your course notes. A TS-safe formatting to identify and fix the issue. Also read section 5.3, keyword strategy, and apply it to the job description you identified in the Module 4 exercise. Use the ATS optimization checklist at the end of section 5.5 to confirm your document is ready. Do not proceed to Module 6 until your document has passed the plain text test. Module 6. Submit a complete application package. This is the final module. You have built your master document, learned to tailor it for specific roles and sectors, and optimized it to pass automated screening. What remains is assembling everything into a complete professional application package and understanding the mechanics of how to deliver it. I want to say something clearly before we go into the detail. A strong document delivered carelessly can still cost you the opportunity. The wrong file name, a cover letter that could have been written for any employer, references who were never briefed and are caught off guard when the hiring manager calls. These are not minor details, they are signals, and they tell the employer exactly how much care and attention you bring to your work. This module covers the 3 remaining elements of a complete application: the cover letter, your LinkedIn profile, and your references. And it ends with the submission mechanics, the unglamorous but genuinely important details of how you actually send your application. Let us start with the cover letter. The cover letter is the most misused document in professional job applications. Let me tell you the 2 ways most candidates get it wrong. The first mistake, the cover letter that summarizes the CV. It begins with something like, "I am writing to express my keen interest in the position of program officer as advertised on your website." It then lists qualifications. It ends with, "I believe I would be a great asset to your team and look forward to hearing from you." The employer reads it and learns nothing they could not have learned from the CV in 20 seconds. This is not a cover letter. It is a formality and everyone can tell. The second mistake, the template. The candidate writes one cover letter, changes the organization's name at the top, and sends it to 50 employers. Experienced recruiters can identify this pattern immediately. It tells them you did not think about them specifically, which tells them something about how you would perform in the role. A genuinely strong cover letter has 4 parts. Look at the left side of this slide. The opening must earn the reader's continued attention, not "I am excited to apply." One specific substantive reason to keep reading, a relevant achievement, a direct connection to their work, a precise statement of your value. The second paragraph makes your case. 2 or 3 specific experiences connected explicitly to the employer's needs in the language of the job description. The third paragraph demonstrates research. One specific detail about this employer that proves you are applying to them, not mass applying. 5 minutes of research, enormous impact. The closing is professional and direct. A clear invitation to contact you, your details, and an appropriate sign-off. Look at the right side of this slide. The contrast between the failing openers and the strong openers is immediate. Strong openers are specific, credible, and problem-aware. Weak openers are interchangeable. Read. Section 6.1. The cover letter in full. Pay close attention to the table of opening lines that work versus those that do not. Now write a cover letter for the job description you have been using throughout this course. Follow the 4-part structure. Opening that earns attention, your case in specific terms. One research detail about this employer. Professional closing. Apply the test from section 6.1. Could this letter be sent to a different employer with only the name changed? If yes, it is not done. Rewrite the third paragraph until it is specific to this organization. When your cover letter is complete, return and continue. 2 supporting elements that most candidates handle poorly: LinkedIn and references. LinkedIn first. For professionals in East Africa targeting international organizations, multinationals, or any employer with a regional or global presence, LinkedIn is not optional. It is part of your application infrastructure. Recruiters check it. Hiring managers check it. And the first thing they are checking is whether your LinkedIn profile is consistent with your CV. If your CV says you were senior finance officer at an organization from 2019 to 2022, and your LinkedIn says finance associate from 2020 to 2021, you have a credibility problem. Discrepancies between your document and your profile are noticed. They raise questions about integrity that are very difficult to answer in an interview. The 5 LinkedIn sections that matter most are on this slide. Pay particular attention to the headline. Most people put their job title. That is a waste of the most visible real estate on your profile. Your headline should tell recruiters who you are, what sector you work in, what your key credential is, and what geography you serve. 110 characters. Use them deliberately. Now, references. References are the final verification layer of your application. They confirm that what you have presented is accurate and that real people are willing to vouch for your performance. 2 things most candidates do wrong. First, they list referees without asking permission. An employer calls a referee who is not expecting contact, gives a confused or unprepared answer, and the candidate loses an offer they had essentially already earned. Always ask permission. Always. Second, they choose referees who cannot speak to their professional performance. A family friend, a personal acquaintance, someone who knew them 10 years ago in a different context. Your most credible referee is your most recent direct line manager. If that is not possible, a senior colleague, a significant client, or a direct supervisor from a previous role. Never a personal reference unless explicitly asked, and brief every referee properly. Send them your tailored CV and the job description. They need context to give a strong reference. In the course notes, read section 6.2, your LinkedIn profile. Then open your LinkedIn profile and compare it to your master document. Check every title, employer name, and date for consistency. Fix any discrepancy now, not later. Rewrite your LinkedIn headline using the guidance in section 6.2. It should not be your job title alone. Then read section 6.3, references. Identify your 2 or 3 referees using the credibility hierarchy on this slide. Contact each one this week before you submit your first application to ask permission and brief them. Send them your tailored CV and the job description you are targeting. Write the email in the professional tone covered in section 6.4. Do not list anyone as a referee who has not confirmed they are willing and briefed. We have reached the checklist. Before you submit any application, go through each of these items. Under Document, is your CV or resume tailored to the specific role and sector? Have you rewritten your professional summary for this application? Have you run the plain text test and passed it? Have you saved your file with a professional name? Let me pause on file naming because I want to be specific. A recruiter receiving 200 applications, all named CV.pdf, has to open every single file to know whose it is. That is 200 files with no names. Your file named Amina_Hassan_CV_UNICEF_2025.pdf is already more professional than the majority of what they receive. Before anyone has opened it, use the format first name underscore, last name underscore, document, type underscore organization underscore year. Under cover letter. Is it written for this specific employer, not adapted from a template? Does it contain at least one specific research detail about this organization? Is there any paragraph that simply restates your CV? If yes, rewrite or remove it. Under supporting. Is your LinkedIn profile consistent with your CV? Same titles, dates, employers? Have you briefed your referees and sent them your CV and the job description? Have you logged this application in a tracker? Under submission, is your email subject line clear and professional? Have you submitted before the deadline, not at 11:58 on the closing date? This checklist takes 5 minutes to run through. It is the difference between an application that looks professional from the outside and one that undermines itself. In the final step, Module 6, Section 6.4, assemble your complete package. This is your final exercise for the course. Complete every item before submitting your application. Read Section 6.4, assembling and submitting your package for the full submission guidance, including email format. Rename your CV file using the professional naming convention. First name underscore, last name underscore CV underscore organization, name underscore year dot PDF. Rename your cover letter, first name underscore last name underscore cover letter underscore organization, name underscore year dot PDF. Open the application tracker template in your workbook and log this application as your first entry. Run through the complete application package checklist in section 6.4. Every item before you submit. Read section 6.5 after you submit so you know exactly what to do in the days and weeks that follow. When every box is ticked, you are ready. Submit. We have reached the end of the course. Look at this slide. These 6 things, Nidiness, this is what you now have. You have a system for understanding what employers are actually screening for, not what you imagine they want. You have clarity on when to use a CV, a resume, and a cover letter, and precisely how they differ from each other. You have the master document framework, so you never start a job application from a blank page again. You have the achievement formula, so every bullet point in your work experience tells a story of impact rather than the story of duties. You have a complete ATS optimization checklist and the plain text test to use before every single submission. And you have a cover letter structure that differentiates you from every candidate who sent a template. The closing line on this slide is what I want to leave you with. The application is the beginning. The career is the asset. Build both deliberately. The application process is not the goal. Getting the interview is not the goal. The goal is a career that is intentionally built. One where the documents you produce are strong because the professional record behind them is strong, and where the professional record is strong because you have been deliberate about developing it. 3 habits will keep everything current. Update your master document immediately after every significant professional event. A promotion, a major project, a new certification, a strong result. Do not wait until you need to apply for something. Update it now. Review your LinkedIn profile every 6 months, and review your target roles and sectors once a year because the market changes and so do you. That is the course. The only variable remaining is execution. Go build something. Turn to the final pages of your workbook, the Career Action Plan template. Fill in the following right now before you close this course. 1. Your primary target role and sector for the next 6 months. 2. The names of your 2 briefed referees. 3. The date by which you will submit your first complete tailored application. 4. The date 6 months from today on which you will review your master document and LinkedIn profile. 5. One section of the course notes you want to reread before your first submission. Keep this plan somewhere visible. Return to it every 2 weeks. The course is complete. You have everything you need. Now use it.